When you think about what you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, Emil, how do you envision that either staying the same or changing when you think 2, 3, 4 years out? Do you envision a very different set of engagements or leadership in a technology company, or do you think it's going to be somewhat of the same? What's going to change? What's going to stay the same?
Look, I think this whole debate of office versus in person, so on and so forth, is going to get settled. There's value in both. There's value in both, and I think employees that, and especially um, younger generation employees, that came into the office during the COVID crisis or right around that, and were able to function at home. You need to understand also that there is a lot of value for being in the office, for being seen, for collaborating with others, for water cooler talks, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be in the office 5 days a week, but both sides of the argument need to have some flexibility and some pragmatism into the situation, because um, I'm going to tell you this, that um, seeing somebody on Zoom or Teams or whatnot and talking to them in Slack is not the same thing as working with them face to face. And you get completely different impressions when you're working with people face to face, good or bad. You get vibes. You see them how they operate. Plus, when you're working in the same office, you get to overhear what marketing is worrying about, what product is worrying about, what operations is worrying about, what the latest CSM is talking to their customer. So even as a salesperson, you can benefit instead of kind of like being siloed, sitting by yourself at home. So excuse me. My advice is frankly for people to kind of get more flexible and figure out how to make hybrid work. I do believe that there's a need for people to be together. Is it 2 days, 3 days together a week? That's up to the company and to the group and the culture of the company. But there's a minimum of 2 or 3 days where people, in my humble opinion, need to be side by side working together if they're in the same location. Now, if your company has been built on a remote concept, then that's part of the culture of your company, and that would work if you're a development oriented company and whatnot. But I do think that companies that were traditional before COVID, and there's still this debate going on. I think both sides need to kind of compromise and then figure out something that works with an agreement that, hey, look, everybody's going to be in the office these 2 days, and then these other days are going to be optional or flexible or whatnot. So that would be my humble opinion of how things are going to evolve. um, that's not really potentially, hey, commercial real estate is coming back and is everybody's coming back to the office, but it is kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah, agreed.